The war fortress Arcanis Prime hung above a dying red star like a jagged crown of metal, engines glowing with the power of a small sun. Across its armored hull, legions of alien soldiers stood in perfect formations. Heavy plasma cannons tracked the empty void, waiting for Earth's battle group. The Triarchic Galactic Command expected a show of force: cruisers, dreadnoughts, armored diplomats, escorts bristling with guns and arrogance. Instead, the void flickered once, and a small, outdated Terran shuttle dropped out of FTL. Confusion passed through the ranks like a ripple through glass. Officers exchanged glances. Technicians checked sensors for errors. No escort. No fleet. Just one shuttle. High Strategos Valkor Ress observed from the command balcony, claws tapping the metal rail. His voice was a low growl. "This is Earth's answer? One vessel?" An advisor bowed. "We have triple confirmed the signature. Terran diplomatic clearance code. Only one life form aboard." Valkor's eyes narrowed. "They insult us." The shuttle glided into the docking bay with quiet precision. No weapons powered, no shields raised. It resembled a relic from an era when Earth still crawled through the solar system with chemical rockets, not quantum drives. The ramp hissed open, releasing a wash of cold air. A single human stepped out. Commander Elias Cross walked down the ramp without escort, dressed not in armor but in a dark civilian coat. Gray streaks ran through his hair. His posture was straight, his movements controlled, each step measured like a man who had counted every variable before arriving. There was no arrogance, only an unsettling calm, the kind that belonged to someone who survived everything the universe had ever thrown at him. Alien guards raised rifles by instinct. Something about this human radiated danger, even without visible weapons. A security officer approached him. "State your identity." Cross handed over a small metallic capsule containing his clearance. "Elias Cross. Earth's Envo." "Envo?" the officer echoed, scanning it. The device flashed green, then refused deeper inspection. The alien frowned. "Your implants are locked." Cross's gaze didn't shift. "Standard for retired personnel." Retired. The word sounded wrong. The officer felt a prickle under his scales, an instinctive signal older than any technology. He stepped aside, unsure why his hands trembled. Cross moved forward, passing armored soldiers who braced as he neared. His eyes flicked across the bay, doors, sensor clusters, firing angles, guard rotations. A lifetime of conflict had turned observation into instinct. He noticed structural weaknesses nobody else would. He kept walking. Escorted by guards, he entered the vast interior corridors of Arcanis Prime, tunnels carved from black alloy, lit by red emergency lamps even in peacetime. The fortress always prepared for war. Today, it expected Terran aggression. Cross noted silent alarm nodes behind panels, placement of blast doors, reaction patterns of security drones. He wasn't preparing to fight. He simply couldn't stop reading the world like a battlefield. Two guards whispered behind him, thinking humans couldn't hear well. "Why only one? Maybe Earth is panicking." "No, look at him. Something's wrong." Cross heard all of it. His expression stayed neutral. At the end of the corridor, the doors to the Grand Conclave Hall opened. The chamber was enormous, built to intimidate lesser species. Thousands of soldiers ringed the walls. Banners of the Triarchic Command hung from the high arches. At the far end, atop a platform of black stone, High Strategos Valkor waited, tall, broad, armored in ceremonial plates etched with victories carved into the bone metal. Valkor stood as Cross approached. "Human. Earth sends one man to face the Triarchic Command. Do your leaders believe we are unworthy of respect?" Cross stopped 3 steps from the platform, hands at his sides. "Earth respects stability, not threats. I am here because diplomacy is always cheaper than war." Valkor chuckled, the sound heavy with contempt. "And war is inevitable when humans refuse obedience." Cross tilted his head. "Earth hasn't refused anything. You demanded sovereignty over our colonies. That is not negotiation. That is annexation." Murmurs swept through the hall. The strategos gestured toward a holographic field that flickered to life. Massive fleets appeared in simulated space, ready to bombard human settlements. Your worlds sit within our influence. Your people expand too fast. Your military grows too strong. We will not permit an upstart species to destabilize the galaxy. Cross studied the display. You mobilized 3 fleets. Valcor smiled proudly. Correct. Then Earth overestimated you, Cross said calmly. A silence spread across the chamber. Even the banners seemed to still. Valcor leaned forward. You dare mock us? No. Cross locked eyes with him. I'm stating you've wasted resources. If you wanted to intimidate Earth, 1 fleet was enough. 3 means fear. The stratego's jaws tightened. Humans do not frighten us. Cross said nothing. He didn't need to. The lack of reaction, no defensiveness, no bravado, landed harder than any threat could have. Valcor straightened. You will remain on Arcanis Prime until we finish our assessment of your species. Guards detained him. 2 armored soldiers marched forward. Cross didn't resist. He simply watched them approach. The moment their hands touched his arms, 1 guard flinched. A strange static pulse rippled through their pauldrons, Cross's old neural augmentations reacting to unauthorized scans. A few sensors overloaded, filling the guards' helmets with static. Malfunction! One shouted. Valcor frowned. Control him. Cross spoke softly. You should disable active scanners. My generation didn't integrate with modern systems. The alien guard stepped back, shaken by the short burst. Valcor's eyes narrowed. Escort the human to Detention Wing 3. His compliance will be tested. Cross nodded once. As you wish. As they led him away, whispers followed, questions, unease, rumors spreading faster than orders. The detention corridors hummed with artificial gravity fluctuations. Cross allowed the guards to secure him inside a reinforced chamber. The doors slid shut with a metallic echo. He sat on the floor, breathing slow, centered. In the corner, a security camera blinked. It flickered once, twice, then failed. Another light dimmed, then rebooted. The surveillance grid tried to process Cross's biometric signature, failed, attempted again, and short-circuited. Cross closed his eyes. Very faintly, he murmured, You prepared for warships. You should have prepared for me. The room dimmed. The station shuddered. Systems began to unravel. The lights in Detention Wing 3 flickered in uneven bursts as the station tried to understand the anomaly inside Cell 47B. Every system that attempted to read Elias Cross looped, stalled, or collapsed in a feedback cycle that engineers hadn't seen in centuries. The alien operators blamed faulty hardware. The hardware blamed unknown interference. Only one variable remained constant. Cross sat quietly on the floor, breathing in a slow, steady rhythm. The door bolts clamped shut again, as if trying to reassure themselves. A pair of guards stood outside. One whispered, Did they say what he is? Human, the other answered. That's not an answer. Inside, Cross opened his eyes. He wasn't listening because of curiosity. He was timing heartbeats, footsteps, energy readings. He had spent half his life escaping from situations far worse than a high-tech detention chamber. He pressed 2 fingers against the metal flooring. A faint vibration pulsed upward. Beneath the floor, data conduits fed into the surveillance grid. Arcanis Prime ran on unified neural networks, predictive, adaptive, always learning. Efficient, but predictable. His implants were not. Cross let his breathing slow further until his heartbeat synced with the rhythm of the conduits. A soft tone buzzed inside his skull as his implants' dormant protocols, unregistered, illegal, obsolete, came alive. The room's lights dimmed as the neural grid misinterpreted the rising signal. On the corridor monitors, his vitals spiked, dropped, then vanished entirely. Guards straightened. Check the feed, one ordered. Before he could move, the cell door clicked. Locks disengaged, not explosively, but with a soft mechanical acceptance, as if the door had decided it no longer needed to obey. Cross walked out. The guards reacted instantly, rifles rising. Cross lifted a hand. "There's no need for this," one shouted. "Stop!" Cross stepped forward. The guard fired, but the rifle jammed mid-charge. Sparks trickled from the barrel. The other guard lunged. Cross slipped past him, applying a pressure point behind the elbow that forced the weapon from his hands. The soldier collapsed, unharmed but immobilized. Cross crouched beside him. "Stay down. It's safer." He was gone before the soldier could respond. Arcani's Prime's lower corridors were a maze of allied tunnels, pressure seals, and emergency shafts. Cross moved silently, leaving no trail except unconscious guards positioned safely out of harm's way. He avoided cameras by studying their arcs and slipping through blind angles, always one step ahead of the station's automated response. He reached an auxiliary access terminal and placed his hand on the panel. The screen flashed, confused by the interface that wasn't supposed to exist. Old Earth code forced its way into the alien operating system. Predictive algorithms froze, then crashed. Cross searched the internal network until he found a restricted directory labeled Project Vortex. The file opened. His jaw tightened. Thousands of recordings scrolled across the display: human colony maps, genetic diagrams, covert infiltration procedures. Plans for 27 human worlds marked for population restructuring. Another folder documented targeted eliminations of Terran diplomats under secret command directives. Then he saw something worse: schematics for containment cells designed specifically for humans, with modules for cerebral extraction. They wanted to isolate the neural traits that made humans unpredictable in combat. Cross shut the file. A low alarm sounded across the corridor. The command had finally realized someone was inside their system. A synthesized voice echoed through the halls. "Security breach in Sector 19. Deploy containment units. Lethal force authorized." Cross muttered. "Too slow." He moved again. In the Conclave war room, High Strategos Valkor slammed his clawed fist onto the table. "How did he escape?" An officer trembled. "We're tracking multiple system failures. Cameras down, comm channels looping, drones returning to hangars without orders." "Impossible!" Valkor roared. "That man is unarmed. He doesn't need weapons." Another officer answered, voice shaking. "He's using our own systems against us." Valkor snarled. "Trace him." "We can't," the officer replied. "He's invisible to predictive scans." "Invisible? Nothing is invisible." The officer swallowed. "His implants don't follow algorithmic patterns. They operate on pre-AI principles. The system can't anticipate him." Valkor's tail twitched with fury. "Find him. Bring me his head." Cross slipped into the drone hangar. Rows of combat drones lined the bay, suspended from magnetic racks. Their weapons glowed faintly, ready for deployment. He accessed the maintenance panel beneath the central control node and rerouted the command hierarchy. One by one, the drones powered down completely, returning to passive recharge mode. The hangar lights dimmed again. Cross moved on. He approached a vertical shaft leading deeper into the station, the path toward the primary reactor ring. Guards patrolled the area in tight formation. He counted them: 8 soldiers, 2 heavy gunners, and a commander. Cross stepped into view. Weapons lifted instantly. The commander shouted, "Identify yourself!" Cross raised his hands. "You don't need to fight me. Stand down!" Cross stepped forward. "Your leaders lied to you. They plan to start a war they can't win." One of the soldiers hesitated. "He shut down half the systems without firing a shot." The commander barked. "Silence!" Cross locked eyes with him. "Ask yourself this: why would Earth send one man unless they knew you couldn't stop him?" The hallway grew still. A single soldier lowered his rifle. "He's right. Nothing on this station works." The commander spun on him. "Traitor!" He never finished the accusation. Cross moved, closing the distance in a heartbeat. A sweep of his arm disarmed the commander, followed by a precise strike that knocked him unconscious. The others froze, stunned by the speed, the lack of aggression, the precision. Cross looked at them calmly. "Leave. There's no reason for you to get hurt." They obeyed. He climbed the shaft. At the top of the reactor ring, the air vibrated with the thunderous hum of a star's containment field. The core glowed bright white behind reinforced glass, energy arcs crackling across its surface. Cross accessed a nearby console. Before he could act, a warning flashed across the screen. "Failsafe initiated, ignition cycle armed." The voice behind him was unmistakable. "Valcor. You cannot win, human!" the Strategos hissed, armored boots striking the metal floor. "I will burn this station before I let you humiliate the Triarchic command." Cross turned slowly. "You would kill your own people to protect your pride? I would kill 1,000,000 to erase your kind." Cross's jaw clenched. "You've done enough damage. And now you will die," Valcor declared, activating an exogauntlet humming with energy. Cross looked at the pulsing reactor, the blinking alarms, the rising temperature. "You shouldn't have pressed this far," he said softly. "Now I have to respond." He stepped toward the controls, the fate of the station, and the star beneath it, resting on his next actions. Alarms wailed through the reactor ring, their rising pitch vibrating in Cross's chest as the fail-safe countdown pulsed across every console. The star beneath Arcani's prime churned with violent energy, its surface rippling like molten glass. The station trembled each time the ignition sequence advanced. If the cycle completed, the star would surge, swallow the station, and send a shockwave through the system. Cross stepped toward the main control pillar, focusing on the override crystal embedded within it, a translucent shard that governed the failsafe. Alien engineers designed it to be unbreakable, unhackable, unalterable. They had never designed it for human interference. Valcor moved closer, armored boots echoing across the trembling platform. His exogauntlet glowed with crackling blue arcs, ready to strike. "Touch that crystal," he warned, "and your death will be instantaneous." Cross didn't look back. "If this star detonates, you lose everything you built. I will be remembered as the Strategos who refused human humiliation." Cross touched the crystal. It responded instantly, rejecting his genetic signature and launching a surge of energy toward his nervous system. His body seized, lights flashing behind his eyes. Pain hammered through every nerve, but he held on. Deep within his skull, his old implant awakened in full, bypassing half the alien circuitry. A cascade of ancient Terran subroutines flooded the link, forcing new pathways into the crystal's neural structure. The reactor lights flickered. Warnings froze. The ignition timer stalled. Valcor's jaw clenched. "What are you doing?" Cross exhaled slowly, regaining control of his limbs. "Stabilizing what you broke." "You cannot control a star." Cross turned to face him. "I don't need control. I only need time." Valcor lunged. The exogauntlet crashed down, unleashing a wave of concussive force. Cross dropped under it, sliding across the platform. He rolled to his feet as the gauntlet struck the floor again, cracking the reinforced plating. Sparks erupted. "Fight me!" Valcor roared. Cross did not rise to the taunt. "I'm not here to kill you!" A backhand swing swept toward his head. Cross stepped aside and countered with a precise blow to the gauntlet's joint. The armor vibrated, circuits stuttering. Valcor snarled and charged like a battering ram. Cross sidestepped again, forcing the Strategos to stumble. The station groaned around them as the reactor destabilized further. Valcor swung wide. Cross parried with an open palm, redirecting the momentum and sending the alien off balance again. The Strategos recovered quickly, fury boiling in his eyes. "You think your restraint makes you superior?" Valcor spat. "It makes you weak." Cross's expression stayed calm. "Strength without control destroys everything." The gauntlet charged again. This time Valcor stormed forward, aiming to crush Cross against the railing. Cross pivoted, caught the alien's forearm, and leveraged weight and angle, not brute force, to flip the towering warlord onto his back. The impact shook the platform. Valcor roared in disbelief. Impossible! Cross stepped back. You're relying on power. I rely on precision. Valcor rose, hatred twisting across his face. I will break every bone in your fragile body. He lunged again, but his movements had grown desperate and wild. Cross intercepted the strike, dismantling the gauntlet piece by piece, dislocating a joint, disabling a power cable, tapping a nerve cluster beneath the armor until Valcor's arms slackened. The exogauntlet fell apart, sparking on the metal floor. Breathing heavily, Valcor staggered. Enough! Fight me to the death! No! Cross's voice remained steady. Killing you solves nothing. Valcor's rage faltered, replaced by disbelief. You refuse the victory you already hold? Cross glanced at the reactor. Victory isn't the goal. The reactor chamber vibrated again. The suspended star frothed like a boiling ocean. Cross rushed back to the control pillar, sliding his hand along its surface. His implant flickered, barely holding the stabilization layer that kept the failsafe from triggering fully. The ignition timer resumed. 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Valcor stared at the countdown, realization dawning. If that erupts, we die. All of you die. Cross corrected softly. The command dies. The system dies. And your fleets die with it. The strategos swallowed hard. Then stop it! I can't while you're trying to kill me. Cross replied, voice level. Choose survival or pride. The silence cut deeper than the alarms. For the first time, Valcor hesitated. Then, slowly, he stepped back. Cross nodded once and pressed both palms against the pillar. His implants surged with white-hot pressure as the system fought to reject him. He forced Terran code deeper, overriding alien failsafe patterns one layer at a time. His vision blurred. His muscles trembled. Blood ran from his nose. The timer slowed. 1 minute and 37 seconds. 1 minute and 21 seconds. 1 minute and 5 seconds. Static buzzed in his ears. The room flickered as the containment field stabilized. Cross felt a tearing sensation behind his eyes as old neural pathways overloaded. He pushed through the pain, anchoring the final command. The system froze. Ignition cycle aborted. The core dimmed. The star's raging turbulence eased, settling into a controlled pulse. The entire station exhaled at once. Cross staggered back, gripping the railing for support. His breathing steadied. His vision cleared enough to see Valcor watching him, not with hatred, but something unfamiliar. Respect? Fear? Confusion? You saved us, the strategos whispered. Cross wiped the blood from his cheek. I saved the people you were willing to sacrifice. The statement hit harder than any strike. Before Valcor could respond, the chamber doors burst open. Triarchic Council members rushed in, flanked by soldiers who looked shaken, exhausted, and desperate for answers. One counselor pointed at Valcor. You activated the failsafe. Another shouted. You would have destroyed the capital. Valcor stood frozen, unable to deny it. Cross lifted a hand. He made a mistake. That mistake is corrected. What you do now determines whether your command survives. He accessed the control panel behind him and transmitted the files he uncovered. Plans for the colony invasions, genetic harvesting programs, political manipulations, secret orders. The counselors recoiled in horror. A murmur spread through them, turning quickly into outrage. Officer seized Valcor, but he didn't resist. For the first time, the warlord's confidence had crumbled. Cross faced the council. Earth wants peace. Not submission. Not war. But if you attempt to enslave our people again, you'll face someone far less patient than me. The chamber fell silent. One counselor asked quietly, Who are you? Retired, Cross answered. He walked past them without another word. The docking bay was eerily quiet as Cross approached the small shuttle that brought him here. Engineers, soldiers, and technicians watched him pass, unsure if they should salute, hide, or thank him. None spoke. Cross boarded the shuttle. As the ramp closed, the pilot, an Earth Federation officer waiting for extraction orders, turned from the controls. "You finished the negotiation?" Cross stared at the stars outside. "It's handled." The shuttle detached, gliding away from the wounded fortress. Behind them, Arcani's prime faded into a silhouette of metal and regret. Cross leaned back in his seat, closing his eyes. He whispered, as if speaking to no one, "Let this be enough." Across the galaxy, transmissions spread, council declarations, arrests, peace orders, and one simple message from Earth. "Humanity does not seek conflict, but threaten us, and we will send the people we tried to let rest." At Black Site Echo 7, Cross stepped into his quiet quarters. He took the worn locket from his pocket, opened it, and looked at the faded photo inside. A promise he once made, to never let his skills be used again, lingered in the air. He set the locket down and whispered, "Peace isn't free. But maybe it's possible." The door slid shut behind him. And the galaxy remembered the day an empire prepared for an army, and faced a single human instead.